Brian Daboll's intel into Josh Allen in this offense was clearly the reason why this game was so close. We need to discuss exactly what unfolded this game and how the Buffalo Bills were able to prevail. But welcome to my channel here, Bills News Consolidated. There are some positives and there are a lot of negatives, especially on the offensive side of the football. You know, Josh Allen force-feeding Stefon Diggs at the very beginning of the game, not spreading the ball around like we have done in every single game so far this season, as well as running the football. James Cook was balling out. He was averaging 7 yards a carry before halftime, and the Bills refused to run the ball in the second half. You know, in the first half, when we got into the second half, Ken Dorsey, I think, started to realize that the running the football was working. James Cook was popping off. Latavius Murray was popping off. And both of the long sustained drives, the only two long sustained drives by the Buffalo Bills, having their longest drive since 2016, the Buffalo Bills franchise, marching their way at 19 plays, huge for almost 10 minutes off the clock. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills ran the ball 65% of the time, and we only passed it, for like 40% of the time, 45% of the time. So it's very interesting to see what was working with the Buffalo Bills and how we stayed away from it. And then force-feeding Stefon Diggs, right? Giving him 16 targets in this game, knowing that he was even double covered. Now, the one excuse I think we do have in this game is Dalton Kincaid was missing. What was the reason we brought Dalton Kincaid in? To be that second option to Stefon Diggs, because this is how teams have played us in the past. This is how teams played us last year. They took away our best option. Mike Tomlin last year did it. Bill Belichick did it. They understand that Stefon Diggs is a top wide receiver in this league. You take him away, Josh Allen is going to have to find someone else. And the Bills were without Dalton Kincaid. Now, I know Dalton Kincaid really hasn't been statistically that amazing this year. And out of 45 tight ends, he ranks 40th in the shallowest route depth at 4 yards. But that just proves my point that he's just been an outlet. He's been that Cole Beasley, that sure hand receiver that Josh Allen can kind of go to once Stefon Diggs is covered, or if they start double covering. We had Dalton Kincaid, right? And we really didn't have anyone else rise to the occasion here. You would have thought Gabe Davis would have had a big game going against a rookie on the outside, but both those rookies, 6'2", 6'3", Gabe's big advantage here is his size, right? So I think they were able to kind of negate that a little bit. Josh Allen was flushed all game long, and this boils down to Brian Daboll's intel merging with Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator of the New York Giants. I am certain that Brian Daboll knows Josh Allen inside and out. He knows the throws that Josh Allen likes to make. He knows the throws that Josh Allen doesn't like to make. He knows that Josh Allen doesn't like pressure in certain spots. I know that Brian Daboll merged his intel with Wink Martindale, and they schemed up a flawless game plan against Josh Allen in this offense. But, we have to understand there were things working. Running the football was working. There's no reason to have waited until the second half to continue to establish the run, especially when things were not working that much. Passing the ball, it just took too long to understand. Now, the bright spot in this game for the Buffalo Bills is clearly this defense. And I know they had some fatal mistakes. Tyrod Taylor, right before half, in back-to-back weeks, the Buffalo Bills steal points away from the Jaguars, and they steal points away from the New York Giants. It seemed like Brian Daboll, on 3rd and 1 there, right before the end of the half, he called a play, but whatever reason, Tyrod Taylor, he tapped his helmet, and called a run, and it got stuffed. And I believe the first one in there was Dorian Williams. It was a gang tackle. Taron Johnson got in there too, Jordan Poyer. But the initial tackle stop was Dorian Williams. And that is a huge bright spot for the Buffalo Bills. Dorian Williams was flying around this football field all game long. And I think he knows what's capable at that position. Seeing Matt Milano, working behind Matt Milano for the first 5 weeks of this season. Sean McDermott is looking like a genius, having Dorian Williams back up Matt Milano and not compete for that Mike linebacker. So Dorian Williams definitely balled out. Really love the ability that he showed. And also, you just consider everything that this defense did, only allowing 9 points, containing Tyrod Taylor, a mobile quarterback, the pressure from A.J. Epinesa, Greg Rousseau, we did some amazing things in this game. I think the other concern here are the corners, right? With this elite of a pass rush on this defensive line, we're number one in the NFL with the most pressures, the most sacks, clearly the best defensive line and pass rush here, which helps the secondary. Now we have to look, Kaiir Elam, Christian Benford, both these guys. I think Christian Benford had a great game, breaking up that pass, unbelievable pass breakup, probably saved us a game. Each and every single one of those plays are just amplified. Absolutely huge pass breakup by Christian Benford. Kaiir Elam, yes, and Benford both got beat by Darius Slayton. I think it was like about a 25-yard chunk play. Seemed like the same route on both sides of the field. But, they really fared halfway decent. I don't want to say they were great. They were above average cornerbacks for the Buffalo Bills. And the point I was bringing up last night was, if Trey White was out there, would we have been satisfied with the performance that we got out of Christian Benford and Kaiir Elam, right? If Trey White was out there and he performed just as well as either of those cornerbacks this game, I think we would have been a little bit let down. Like Trey White, shut down corner. And I think that is a standard and expectation that we have on Kaiir Elam. We're all expecting Kaiir Elam to be a shutdown corner and do these things. But again, the lack of experience, the lack of snap count, lack of starting this season, I still think Kaiir Elam is a work in progress. He's going to continue to improve, just like this entire team continues to improve throughout the season. Dalton Kincaid was definitely a big-time miss for the Buffalo Bills offensively, but Sean McDermott calling plays, I really think that is what won us this freaking game. Sean McDermott dialing up the blitz in certain down and distances, staying aggressive when in years past, Leslie Frazier would have been complacent. He would have played off coverage. He would have let them march down the field and score points. Now, the other debatable calls here, Ken Dorsey in shotgun, in the goal line. I mean, before the ball was even snapped, I was like, why is he in shotgun? Why are we doing this? Get Josh Allen under center. Do the QB sneak and get right in there. It was just an unbelievable call. And then at the very end of the game, to try to win the game with Tyler Bass, knowing that if he did miss, now Tyler Bass is so clutch. He's so clutch. But if he did miss that kick, the field position that Brian Daboll and that offense had without hardly any timeouts was very, very favorable. But if we were to punt it, and Sam Martin's been doing a great job getting it down at least the 10-yard line, they would have had to march it a long way without timeouts, and they needed a touchdown to score. So, some of these calls are definitely debatable. Everyone from Sean McDermott, Ken Dorsey, just a lot of questioning going on in this game. But it is a work in progress. We're going to learn a lot from this game. I hope you guys are still hyped up about this season. We performed well without Milano, Daquan Jones, without Trey White. So I think we proved that we could definitely still win some games this year, but a lot of work needs to be done, Bills Mafia. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe. Appreciate you guys, and go Bills.